I spent 2 days on the ground at Legal Tech Talk speaking to the people shaping the future of law. And what I heard, surprising, honest, game-changing. Over the next few weeks, I'll be sharing the big insights, bold ideas, and behind-the-scenes realities that every legal professional needs to hear. In this episode, I'm speaking with Richard Macklin, ex-Global Vice Chair of Dentons, and now world-class coach for leaders at the Alexander Partnership. He's also on the training committee for the City of London Law Society. Okay, so I'm here with Richard at Legal Tech Talk. Richard, how's it going?
It's going. Thank you very much. I have to say, I mean, it's amazing how they've got so many people from a standing start to 2,500 last year from a blank piece of paper to more than 4,000 this year, and absolutely everybody's here. So it's very impressive what they've done, actually, and it's great because the whole market's here, so it's very efficient. You get to see everybody in one hit. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. How long have you spent in hair and makeup then this morning?
So about 16 hours. I mean, I started about 2 days ago, and you know, it's. What do you think?
Yeah, looks good. Right.
I'll go back in and come back.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't work hard enough on you know.
Could be done.
Yeah. So what was your panel talk about?
So my panel talk about was basically about the evolving relationship between clients and law firms. Me representing sort of law firms, even though I'm now out 5 years, I go into a lot of law firms, having been in one for a long time. Now going to lots and lots of them. So looking at how they relate to clients and vice versa, particularly in the way that it is evolving very quickly now. That's what we talked about. And I had a lovely co-panelist who was Steve Albrecht, who's a GC at HSBC.
Oh, nice. Okay. I was actually speaking to a partner yesterday of a fairly big law firm. Just accidentally, I literally bumped into him and I thought, you know what, while I've got him, I'm going to ask him about AI. And I asked him, what do you think about AI? And he said, I think our law firm will be extinct in 20 years because AI is going to take over. And I was like, whoa, I didn't know people were thinking like this. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's what most people think, but they don't really act in accordance with what they're saying. I mean, look, I'm really glad that I'm out of the management of a large law firm now, because we made some difficult decisions in difficult times in the day, but I have to say this is probably the biggest one in the last few decades, and I'm glad I'm not having to make those decisions, particularly on investment and what to do. You know, do you buy or build? Answer: buy, or build the front end. Do you embrace or resist? Answer: embrace. Right. But what's interesting, listening to law firms, is there's quite a stark difference between those who've got it, who are going for it, or biting the bullet, and those who aren't. And there's not much shade of grey between the two, actually. And so I think those who embrace, particularly those who are collaborating with the market to build something together, are the ones that will move away from the pack. I also think this story about, you know, law firms will be extinct. Yeah, definitely what is done today in law firms will definitely be extinct. In fact, much more, I think, than people are realizing. I think there's the idea, we'll do commodity work. No, it already does commodity work. It's going to do all the whizzy tax structuring and everything else, and negotiate deals and everything. That doesn't necessarily mean that law firms will be extinct. They will definitely be extinct as we know them. But the agile business thinkers will move with the market trends. And if you think of retailers on Oxford Street, you know, struggling because they didn't follow the trends of where online shopping was going, well, it's the same thing, right? But there's still a place for the same brands and the same management and the same people within the firms, provided you're agile enough in the market. And I think, sure, there will be fewer traditional legal jobs, but there'll be a bunch of people doing different jobs within law firms, right? How do you prompt it? How do you collect the data, and how do you use it, and how do you actually front end it better? So there'll be jobs.
I do think law firms are going to have to think more they're going to have to be more business minded than they ever were before. I think it forces them to do that. This is quite a tricky question, but then I just thought of it now.
Can I just go back to hair and makeup for this one?
Yeah, you might need a massage after this one.
Okay. Line it up.
If you were building a law firm, or you are managing a law firm now, you've mentioned a few points, but how would you approach it with the whole AI thing?
If I was building a law firm now, if I was building one now, I wouldn't build a traditional law firm. It doesn't mean there isn't a place for a traditional law firm. There is. But frankly, if I was starting from scratch, I'd be looking at ALSPs, you know, alternative legal suppliers, with a hand-in-hand collaboration with tech, with AI, and I'd be looking to produce a service based on the technology rather than a law firm that delivers traditional high-end big law stuff. That doesn't mean, as I say, there's not going to replace them. There is. I just wouldn't want to do it right now because what you're doing really is retrofitting the old model.
Right.
You know, you're killing the billable hour. You're making huge investments and risks in how you change your delivery model. If you're building it from the ground up, you know, you wouldn't have started from there. Do you see what I mean? You start from here. So I do it that way.
Nice, nice. Okay, amazing. Well, thank you so much, Richard. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat.
I'm on my massage now.
I'm speaking with Lorraine Lee, Fractional Chief Privacy Officer, General Counsel, and Executive Coach. So I'm here with Lorraine at Legal Tech Talk. Lorraine, I'm really excited to see you because I've been following you for a while and I love
Following you.
I love your posts. They're so cleverly written, I think. And I love particularly your travel ones that you've been doing this week around Europe. Super nice. Why did you start posting on LinkedIn?
Yeah, that's a great question, Holly. And up till last year, I was the General Counsel and Chief Privacy Officer at an MNC. And I actually started posting a few years ago because I was frustrated that the things I cared about, I didn't get to talk about, like how I felt about diversity and inclusion and issues that mattered to me. So I took to LinkedIn to express these things and with great results because even as an employee, it's not just reaching outwards to people externally. It brought me closer to my internal colleagues as we had a great understanding when we met after not having seen each other for years. Was a lot closer, a lot warmer. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I think it is a great way to let people know what you're up to, what you're doing, and feel more connected to you. I think it's such a powerful platform. Has it helped your current business?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I didn't think of it when I started on LinkedIn. It was really to have a voice. And I'm really glad that I started building that presence on LinkedIn before I left a brand name. And a lot of people who work for big brand names don't realize that they have this big buffalo behind, and people are reaching out and really wanting to know them because of their brand names. Like if you work for a company, you know, everybody wants to get to know you. And that sort of set a good, not stage, but a good group of connections, if you like. I started growing my connections on LinkedIn way before I started out on my own. And that's really helped stay front of mind. So a lot of my business comes through referrals. I do data privacy consulting and I also do executive coaching. A lot of my coaching clients are lawyers, senior executives. It's referrals through people I know. So it's not direct, it's not sales on LinkedIn. It's more like
Awareness.
what I do. And then somebody asks, oh, do you know somebody? I'm looking for a coach. And, you know, somebody thinks, oh, I've just scrolled through Lorraine's post on coaching this morning. You could hit up Lorraine, you know, it's that kind of really indirect and magical way.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? I love it. And you get to see people online, feel connected with them, and then meet them in person like we're doing now. And it's like, it deepens that relationship, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah. I was so excited to come to Legal Tech Talk and meet you.
Oh, that's so lovely. Why do you think that lawyers are so, I guess, avoidant with LinkedIn? Why do you think they don't want to post on LinkedIn?
I think it's this voice inside your head, and we all have it, how we're brought up. I mean, being brought up Asian, there's a lot of be humble, don't brag. So people are self-conscious. I was self-conscious when I first started posting when colleagues said, you post a lot on LinkedIn. And I was like, are they going to think I'm not working? You know, are they going to think I have too much time?
Well, that's a good one. Yeah, I never thought about that.
So it made me very careful about curating what I do post on LinkedIn. I think if it's something really raw and you're really angry about it, it's a raw wound, don't post about it because somebody's going to misunderstand or take it the wrong way. But if it's something that you've overcome, like I love reading about how you overcame your challenges. That's a good thing for other people on LinkedIn to learn about.
Yeah, totally. It's about giving value to the audience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Lorraine. I really do appreciate you talking to me, and it's so nice to see you in person.
So nice to see you. Thank you, Holly.
Oh, thank you. I've wasted hours drafting contracts in my business. I've used clunky templates, even written from scratch, looked into paying lawyers. I've even tried ChatGPT, but it just didn't hit the mark. I knew there had to be a better way. And then I found this, Counsel, an AI contract drafter built by lawyers for lawyers. I spoke to the team at Counsel and they use it for their own legal work. And they're improving it every single day based on real life feedback. It actually does the heavy lifting for you. It researches your jurisdiction's laws and nuances and picks up local drafting quirks and even matches your tone and style. It then builds a ready-to-edit Word document with hyperlinks, numbering, and a table of contents. It's so quick. I was so impressed when I used it. What I love about it is you can ask it to draft any contract you like, and it will even give you suggestions for appropriate terms or clauses that you'd never even think of. If you're still spending hours drafting contracts the old way, you don't have to anymore. This changed everything for me. If you're a lawyer, business owner, service provider, it might just do the same for you. And Counsel have been kind enough to sponsor this episode, and I'm so excited to spread the word. It's the most sophisticated contract drafting software I've used. To get your free 7-day trial, just go to the description of this episode. Give it a go, and don't forget to let me know how it changes your workflow. I'm talking with Mahwash Ali, procurement expert for law firms. She helps law firms stop overpaying suppliers and start saving on supplier spend. So Mahwash, what would you say is the biggest mistake that law firms make, in your opinion?
From a supplier, from a reviewing the supplier expenditure perspective, I think one of the things that most law firms don't do, or simply don't have the time to do, is review their contract against their invoices on a monthly basis. Because, if you had a contract, if you ask a stakeholder, one of my favorite things when we go into a law firm is when we ask them, oh, contract for this services. And they're like, oh, you know what? It was given to me in my handout notes. It's here. It's in a drawer somewhere. No one knows what the contract is.
That is so ironic.
Considering and lawyers. And the even bigger irony is often we actually have to go out of house to get lawyers for supplier contracts because the in-house lawyers are just too busy. Which I remember the first time it happened, I was floored and I was like, you guys do know where you are, right? Because we had this huge multi-million-dollar contract and there was nobody available to review the contract with us. And it was a huge law firm. And so I just remember it came out of my mouth before and my manager looked at me like, and so it was just like, you guys have looked around, right? You know where we are, and we are in one of the biggest law firms in the world, and you're telling me that. But that is that is one of the biggest things that I find is we found a huge gap in the market where we found that once you sign a contract, maybe somebody will review it for the first 3 months, maybe for the first 6 months if they're really efficient. But after that, no one's really tracking what you're doing, whether the supplier is actually charging you what you've agreed in the contract. And at a line item level detail, somebody may have a look at it at a, overall level, bird's eye view. That's about right. And then pass it on. So that's where we found that actually what was happening was over a period of time, there was about 10 to 15% gap that was increasing.
Wow.
We've managed to find, just one of our, for instance, $500,000 in savings.
Oh my gosh.
We're reviewing the contract.
Wow.
Looking at it, going back retrospectively, and you can go back 6 years and actually collect any overcharges that you've had over the period of 6 years. And we only did that for the last 2 years.
Wow.
For that one particular law. So it's really, really important to keep on top of keep track of what you actually agreed in your contracts and what you're actually paying in your invoices on a monthly basis. I think that's one of the big ones I see in suppliers.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm talking with Thomas, founder of August, the first AI legal assistant that can research, draft, and revise autonomously.
So we're here at Legal Tech Talk with Thomas. Thomas, please tell me about what you guys do.
Absolutely. So we are a legal workflow provider, right? So we automate any sort of repeatable task at firms and in-house teams. And we do this by using our sort of modular AI agents. So we can do legal work on behalf of the lawyer that way.
Amazing. And I just want to look at this billboard behind us.
Yeah.
Goodbye, the billable hour. Tell me more about this.
Yeah. So what we found with our clients that we have been working with so far is that they're able to do so many more tasks and cases that that the billable hour is not the best way to price the legal services anymore, right? And we're seeing people transition to flat fee, contingency, or capped hour based pricing structures there. We think this is really exciting. This is like productizing law, right? And I think this is definitely the future of what's going to happen.
Definitely, yeah. I feel like AI is forcing law firms to be more like a business and think more business minded, as opposed to the traditional archaic ways of thinking, you know, the partnership structure and these things, which is exciting.
I was just talking to someone recently about this, how like the partnership model is changing, right? To be more like a business, and there's BD, right? There's all of these other functions of a business that law firms are adding on.
Yeah. It's very interesting transformation. I'm excited to hear from you. Is there a pushback from law firms when you go to them and offer your services, or you talk about what you do? Is there a pushback from them like, oh, we don't want to use your services because they have this old mindset?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's always pushback to any new type of technology. I think I've been surprised at how little pushback there's been, particularly at the partner level, right? A lot of these firms, the partners are rainmakers, right? And they are selling their services, right? And they see sort of AI as a way to capture more of the market and a way to expand the market there, right? And so what we've seen is sort of, particularly the people who we work with are extremely invested, right? They want to run their firm, basically, right? That's their version of the picture there.
Exactly. Yeah, I just feel like there's so much change, and there's so many. Yeah, there's so many tech companies out there doing, doing what you're doing, trying to automate other areas of law firms. How do you stand out in such a crazy market?
Yeah. I mean, there are hundreds of legal AI vendors here at Legal Tech Talk this week. And I think one of the things that we really work on, right, is we've noticed that sort of there's a lot of general AI providers, and there's a lot of extremely domain-specific, practice area-specific models, right? What many law firms that work with us want is something that works. You buy one tool, but it's also very practice area specific and can be configured to the practice areas that the firm has, right? To the workflows, to the repeatable tasks. And that's really what we do, right? Where we build these custom workflows that match the exact documents that a lawyer produces at the firms that we work with. Right?
Got you.
And so that's really how we stand out.
I see. Amazing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Holly.
I'm speaking with Rob Hanna, host of Legally Speaking podcast.
We've got Rob here, Legally Speaking podcast, absolute legend. We're at Legal Tech Talk London. Rob, go ahead.
Well, no, firstly, it's an absolute pleasure to be collaborating with you again. I'm a big fan of what you're doing. And I think the amount of work and energy and effort you put in as a creator, community builder, and you deserve all the accolades you get. And it's a real pleasure to be doing this in person with you at Legal Tech Talk. And of course, shout out to Bradley, who's very kindly allowed us to be here to put this amazing content on.
I know. It's so great, isn't it? And isn't it like we were both here last year, and this year it's incredible, isn't it? Even better.
Yeah, and I was saying to somebody earlier, actually, the energy year one, you didn't quite know what to expect, but people who came from year one have come again, and there's an enhanced energy here. And I feel you just look at the number of legal tech businesses. I've spoken to some incredible startup businesses, the level of innovation that's happened within that 12-month period in terms of what I would say, not lazy legal tech, but now what people are bringing to the table here specifically is very, very high quality. And I think another 12 months on, it's going to be even more exciting.
I do agree. Who have you been interviewing then today?
A whole raft of people, actually. We've had people part of organizations that are, well, there's one organization that is around emotional IQ. So they actually use neurotechnology to help witnesses in terms of when they're delivering their statements or on the stand. It can tell them how to potentially act more empathetic or in a more confident manner. So we've had a whole host of different people disrupting the legal industry, but actually with good quality products that are useful for the everyday person or indeed the lawyers. And then just friends of ours, you know, you and I are friends, we've collaborated together. Lots of people in and around the legal community have come on. I've had Akil Hunt, who is the founder of Non-Russell Group Lawyers, which is all about social mobility and helping non-Russell Group lawyers get into the profession. So it's just been a real pleasure to meet friends and people in and around the community doing good things for good, like you're doing. And as I say, I'm a big fan of you and your show and everything you've been doing. And yeah, I think the more we can collaborate, come together, we is greater than me, right?
Absolutely. Oh, that's amazing. I want to ask you one question about.
Oh, here we go. I remember when I came onto your show the first time and you asked me that question. I think I gave you like a 10-minute answer, so apologies.
No, like last time I was asking you questions, you were like, "Oh, I'm giving away all my secrets here. Like you're getting all this information out of me." You're like begrudgingly like saying the answers, but
Oh. Go on then. Go on
I
then.
love that episode, by the way.
Hopefully it was helpful.
I
Hopefully.
loved grilling you. Because you're really, really good to me, get away.
Okay. I'm a good person to be grilled. Okay.
You are, yeah.
Yeah.
So AI, this is the hot topic.
Yeah.
What is your perspective on how AI is changing the legal industry?
So, well, firstly, and it's a contrarian view, a lot of these AI businesses will fail. And I think there has to be an understanding of that. And I think that's good in a way, because the very best will survive. And I think those that do survive and either get acquired or raise money or do successfully will have very, very good quality products and will genuinely solve a problem. Like I was saying before, when I've been interviewing people here, I'm really looking for those AI businesses that have really understood the heart of the problem rather than just adding to the noise in terms of another whatever it might be, you know, drafting, contract management. You know, what are you doing differently that's genuinely going to help legal professionals become far better at their job and reduce their hours and increase their overall well-being within practicing within the law? Or if you're actually a receiver of services, you know, how is that doing helping you get access to justice? So for me, I'm most excited about, you know, I've had Philip Young, founder of I think you've had Philip Young as well. You know, great. You know, if you've got a small claim, now people potentially can get access to something that, you know, ordinarily could never have been possible. So people actually innovating and finding real problems that are helping real people, I think that will be 10x'd over the coming years. And I'm excited to see those organizations that do really focus on the pain point and the problem flourish. So I'm positive, but I do want to sort of have an element of caution that don't just think you can add to becoming another legal tech AI business just because there's a wave to be ridden here. It's like, well, what is the strategy? How are you going to think about that? Who are you potentially going to be collaborating with? How are you going to get funding? Because so many of these businesses don't, and then they ultimately end up folding after a year or two. So yeah, that's just my thoughts, but I'm very bullish, very positive, and very excited about AI. And even in my own world as a podcaster and as a content creator, using it to be faster, sharper, creative, all of that good stuff. So I see it as a net positive, and I think yeah, those that understand the problem and deliver on it will be very successful.
Yeah, I think obviously there's so many different factors as well. You've got to think about like regulation. You've got the EU AI Act, which doesn't apply to us.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, what's gonna there's so many companies and so much change and movement, and like you say, it's kind of also a little bit bullish, I would say.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, what's going to happen in terms of like how it's going to be regulated?
Adaptable. I mean, I sit on the board of a couple of legal techs. You know, one is LexiDesk, which is a voice AI platform, and you know, we're always looking at how we can reposition our market fit in terms of, well, maybe some law firms, traditional law firms, have always wanted a human at the end of the phone as part of that first touch point. So how do you go on that marketing journey, and how do you re-educate the prospective buyers and actually know this is going to be the cause of action? You know, it's like any evolution, isn't it, from dial-up internet to everything else. So yeah, I think understanding you need to be adaptable, understanding getting your marketing and product fit right, and yeah, being conscious to the fact that, like you say, regulations, moving goalposts, all of that good stuff. But I think if you come to events like this and you listen to podcasts like yours and you meet good people, you might just get that nugget of wisdom. You might be stuck on something at the moment and you might just get that answer and you'll be away to the races. But I'm all about tech for good.
Hence why you're here, right?
Yeah, hence why I'm here and collaborating with the best.
Oh, thanks so much, Rob. I really do appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure. And yeah, I really, really do want to say what you're building, what you're doing is fantastic. The legal industry needs it. And I think you're a fantastic role model and a dear friend.
Oh, thank you. Likewise.
I'm talking to Darshi Harinder, fractional general counsel, executive coach to legal leaders, and host of Unbiased podcast.
So I'm with Darshi here at Legal Tech Talk London. I'm super excited to talk about you because I have an interesting question for you.
Okay, go for your life.
You're like, oh, and is she going to ask me? So I'm interested in the connection between AI and human lawyers because I was speaking to a lawyer yesterday who said to me that they think that AI is going to completely take over law jobs. And I said, well, what about AI making it possible for lawyers to become more human and have that human touch? What about that opportunity? And he was like, no, I don't see it happening. What are your views on this?
Well, lawyers are tough customers when it comes to this AI gig. But yeah, this is actually something I feel really passionately about. And sometimes I stand out like a sore thumb as an in-house lawyer, as a practicing lawyer for almost 20 years, because I'm kind of in that camp of, as you were suggesting, AI can actually free us up to do more things. And actually, we had a roundtable talking about this humans and machines kind of element. And something that came up for me was that we never really speak about lawyers being creative or like all those kind of things. And it really comes a bit down to your identity. Part of that change management is like, who are you as a lawyer? Is all you're about is drafting contracts and doing all these things that these machines can now do? Or is it the nuance and the judgment and creating something and influencing people and bringing things to the fore? And so it really does kind of require a bit of just that kind of expansive thinking on the people side. And sometimes like the tech is actually the easy bit, but if you want to bring people on that journey, it can't be as binary as one or the other. It has to be more than, oh, once your job, like it's taking your jobs, because one is that's going to take a while. And you've got this runway to really think more about what we want from our careers, from how we're contributing. And I think there is so much scope for lawyers and how we're trained to offer something over and above and to allow for AI to help them and us.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I do think the same, but I just can't imagine how that's going to look. But I think, lawyers will need to be more emotionally intelligent, more culturally aware, more able to interact with people than they do now because they get to hide behind screens and admin work.
Yeah.
But how do you think it's going to look in like 5 years' time, for example?
I don't think any of us can answer that question with any level of certainty. The rate of change, if anything is true of this AI revolution or whatever you want to call it, is that its change is going so fast. I think all we can do is control the controllable. But in terms of future-proofing ourselves and our careers, I think once you have to enable the AI to do what it's doing, we are going to have to get out from behind that screen. And like you said, I think we don't invest as much in the people side, in the cultural awareness, in that emotional intelligence. And typically for lawyers, it's the soft skill. It's the not as much value add as knowing the law. But actually, there are tools that can tell us the law very easily, but not so much building those relationships, being able to kind of see around corners, being able to apply that in a really commercial way. I think it is looking like a shift in like what the metrics are for a successful lawyer, and then gearing towards that. Because one thing that lawyers are good at doing is like working towards a goal. Yeah. So I think the goal posts just have shifted and now we need to kind of redirect.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do you think the biggest shift is the mindset?
Yeah. I really think it's about mindset. I mean, I have a bias there because I believe that so much so that I became accredited as a coach and I work with a lot of lawyers to coach them through that. And that's been the data that has come through for me from clients, is that it is so much to do with that mindset. And as I say, it's that reframe, that redefining what success looks like is such a powerful thing, but it's a bit of a slow journey.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do you want to explain a little bit about what you do and how you help people?
Sure. So, well, I'm actually Assistant General Counsel for APAC for FTI Consulting. And I've had a path there where I had my own inclusion consultancy for a while. I was coaching lawyers. And then I was working for FTI as a contractor when I moved to Singapore. And they actually gave me the space to say, oh,
you come and join us, you could spend a day a week supporting our global inclusion team, and you can put those skills to the fore. And so I'm an in-house assistant general counsel for APAC, and I'm sort of trying to chip away at culture change from the inside at the moment.
Nice. I love that. That's what I'm about as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thanks, Ollie.
I'm talking with Jono Randall Nash, ex-lawyer turned independent financial advisor specializing in the legal profession.
So we're at Legal Tech Talk right now. I'm with Jono. Jono, introduce yourself.
I'm a financial advisor and I work primarily with lawyers, as I was one before.
Nice one. Me and you we are the OG Legal Tech Talk attendees.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were here last year, and this year it's crazy, isn't it? Have you seen it?
Yeah. I mean, last year was a kind of an assault on the senses, a whole new level of conferences. And then this year's just got even bigger and better already.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, you walk around and there's a lot. The energy in the room, there's music as you come in. I don't know if you heard the DJ in his little booth.
Yeah.
You even step in, you know that it's going to be a good one and it's going to be fun, which conferences should be fun, right? You don't think fun necessarily with a lot of conferences, but here, that's what I associate with it.
Yeah. What I love about this one is it's not corporate. It doesn't feel corporate, although it's like the most corporate event ever. But it's like, it feels like you're going into, I don't know, even like a club or something in parts, you know?
Yeah, there's people in trainers here. There's people not wearing shirts and suits, so it's not corporate. It's there's a lot going on. And last year there was a human glitter ball at when they had the dancing later.
True.
So I'm waiting for more of that stuff. I'm up for it.
I'm sure it's to come. So, Jono, do you think that lawyers are good at identifying risk, or do you think that they just think they're good at identifying risk?
So, great question. I think they're good at identifying some risks, but not necessarily the right risks. They're trained to identify risks, sure. But when that extends outside their sphere, are they good at it? I would argue differently. Because if you don't know and you haven't been trained the things to spot, then you think you're looking for the right risk, but actually there's some really big ones that they miss, which is where I come in for a lot of them, which is really fun to be like, okay, you've identified that risk, but is that the right risk? And it's really fun seeing that moment where they go, oh, and I'm like, yeah, that's cool. That's what I'm here for.
So what type of risks are we talking about here?
So it'd be like looking at a sort of statement of your investments and you go, oh, it's going up and down. And that's quite scary. It's like, okay, what are you tracking inflation? They're like, no. I was like, well, it's not on your statement. How are you dealing with that? And they're looking at you, be like, I don't know. What do I do? And I was like, let me talk you through that. That's my role there, which is fun because it's not something you see. Therefore, if you can't see it, how do you know about it?
That's a very, very good point, Jono.
Thanks, Tolly. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
I'm speaking with Charlene Giselle, former big law litigator turned high-performance coach for lawyers, law firms, and executives.
So I'm at Legal Tech Talk London. I'm here with Charlene. Charlene, I've literally just been on your podcast. Yeah. So I'm excited that you're now coming on my podcast. How's it all going?
Oh, going great. Although I am a little bit concerned about all this artificial light that we're getting and the overstimulation. Well, let's just talk about the subject, right? If we're talking about well-being, how well do we stay? And, yesterday I was walking around just having my ears closed, so to speak, protecting my ears, having loops in, having different kind of light modulation glasses. And people ask me, but the truth is, when we talk about tech, obviously we love it, we need it to do what we do, but do we also think about the side effects and the negative implications of all this artificial light, all the blue light, all the phones, all the external stimuli? Let me ask you a question, Holly. Do you start your day with your phone and do you end your day with your phone?
You know what? I actually don't.
Good.
I think I'm one of the first people I on purpose do not look at my phone. I read a book, I write, I meditate, then I look at my phone afterwards because I'm aware that it's really bad for you. I'm actually aware of it from you as well. I saw a post, you did a post about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's also because you're no longer practicing, which is amazing. Yeah. When I typically ask that question to practicing solicitors, the answer is, I start my day on my phone and I end my day on my phone. And that can have direct consequences in burnout, exhaustion, tiredness. We actually know that being digitally stimulated late at night can increase the rate of anxiety and depression, right? So if we think about the way we work, of course we work with our screens, but do we also need to entertain ourselves and relax with our screens?
I know, yeah, this is the issue, isn't it? Especially with, as you say, AI and tech coming into the legal industry, changing the legal industry, and now everything, like you say, is on the phone. When I was practicing law, or when I first started, we didn't have the emails on the phone. Well, it wasn't a common thing, you know, but now it's a really common thing. So you're always switched on. So it's quite terrible, really, isn't it?
It is. I'll just give you a quick story. This week, I actually told to one of my clients who was super stressed out, you need to go for walks, right? Quick walks, take a break, go walk in nature. And he was so proud of himself and sent me a selfie of him walking on his phone. I was like, that defeats the purpose. I'm glad you're going for a walk. But if you have not left your phone and just spend your whole time walking through the forest on your emails, I'm not sure you're getting the nature benefits that was intended behind that walk.
Yeah.
And it's something to just think of. And I would love for your listener to reflect on that question. How often do you go out in nature on a walk without digital stimulation?
I know. Most people don't, because they listen to music on their phone or podcasts or whatever, which is fine, but
only if it's your podcast. Yeah, or yours. Ours. Only if it's our podcast.
So what would you suggest people do then? Like, what are your top tips for lawyers to help avoid burnout and not have this technical stimulation always?
Great question. Go back to basics, but also don't listen to the voices in your head that's telling you that on a Saturday you're so tired and exhausted that all you want to do is be lazy on Netflix. Everybody loves Netflix. I love it too. But make it a ritual. Make it actually part of your self-care package, not a way you numb or you soothe. So whatever you do to take the edge off at the end of the day, if you're noticing that it's starting to take the sparkle off as well, that's probably not a good self-care strategy. So yes to a movie, but maybe make it a one time a week, super intentional with your partner. Make it a ritual. Like when I watch a movie with my husband, there is something so special about it, right? Don't just watch it in bed on episode number 2, 3, 4, binging away while you're binging on snacks, while you're stimulated, because then what you're really doing is you're numbing and you're soothing and you're escaping too. So make your self-care a ritual. Go back to the basic. I think we all are in a massive nature deficit, and we become desensitized to the fact that we are overly stimulated. You know, the fact that we can spend 2 days at a conference and not go out for 10 minutes to breathe some fresh air concerns me, right? I'm the one that keeps going out just to get fresh air, to actually look at the sky, get some natural light in my eyes, because I know from a neuroscientific standpoint, it's helping me stay more performant. So basic things like being in touch with nature so that you can continue to perform and use the tech that we love. That's what I would say.
Love it, love it. That's amazing, Charlene. I love how you used to be a lawyer and now you're pro helping the well-being of lawyers. What made you make that shift?
Not being well. I'll be really honest. But it's true. You know, a lot of people tell me, oh, you'll become a wellness guru. I hate this term. But the truth is, I'm not a wellness guru. I'm someone who was profoundly unwell, and so unwell, in fact, that it destroyed my career. And if I knew what I know now about self-care, and if I had learned what I teach now to law students in law school, I would not have burnt out. This I know with absolute certainty. Do I have regrets? None, because I love what I do now. But I want my story to be a cautionary tale. Like, don't burn out the way I did. Don't destroy a career you love because you don't know how to take care of yourself. I think self-care is not a luxury, it's a foundation. And also just be wary of wellness advice you receive from people that are not well. Just a little warning, because there are so many of those so-called coaches or consultants that think they hack the system. And when you dive into their life, they don't work out, they don't eat well, they don't really do what they preach. So don't really gravitate towards people that preach a certain way, but instead gravitate towards people that live a certain way. Lifestyle is embodied value. So instead of looking at what can someone teach you, what can someone show you? Well-being is something to be lived in, to be embodied. I consider well-being to be my top value, and everything that I do is about that. And that's why I'm walking around with 5 fingers, toes today. Everybody thinks I forgot my shoes, and I'm wearing socks, but it's actually to compensate for all that I'm getting in terms of the tech and the exposure, because it grounds me and it gets me a little bit closer to nature while being so far removed from nature. So by wearing that, it's very intentional, it's very strategic, but it helps me be literally more grounded. I know it sounds super up there, and anyone that thinks I just made something up in the woo-woo land, I promise you there is incredible science around it. But little hacks like that. I have my light modulation passes in my bag, my loops in my ears, and that helps me just stay sharper and combat any potential negative side effects so that we could continue to love the tech at Legal Tech.
Oh, Charlene, you're a legend. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Holly.
I'm talking with Caleb Harris, founder and CEO at And AI for patent litigation.
Okay, so we're with Caleb at Legal Tech Talk. Caleb, you are the founder of and CEO of And AI. So tell me a bit more about And AI. What made you start the company?
Yeah, so AI is building AI for patent teams, particularly focused on things like patent litigation. Previous to starting AI, I was actually working as a technical expert in patent litigation. And that kind of gave me an inside view as to what was happening in the industry. And, one thing led to another. I decided to start building technical solutions for the market.
Nice. What do you think is the biggest problem that law firms have and the problem that you solve with And AI?
I think right now, patent disputes, patent litigation is just very time intensive and expensive. And it's not really possible to do a lot of kind of the at scale analysis that maybe people would like to. Let's say you have a portfolio of 10,000 patents. It's really difficult to know where and how you can monetize that. And then if you get into a litigation, every step of that process is so expensive that it's hard to actually, do things at scale.
Okay, nice. So how does it work? Like, what's the process? So when a firm kind of, I guess, works with And AI, what happens next?
Yeah, so And AI, we're really building end-to-end solutions. So it feels a little bit like interacting with ChatGPT, I would say.
Oh,
Where we have an AI agent we call Andy, and Andy's just able to do all sorts of tasks. So let's say you get a complaint saying you are infringing. There's a lot of steps that you would do in responding to that, maybe building in validity contentions or writing a response letter. And that requires a whole host of analysis. So Andy would then go kind of make a plan for, how to approach this, do all of the intermediary analysis steps. So the prior art search, the claim charting and so on, and then draft it in a format that works for what you're doing.
oh, wow.
So it works like that. And then there is this platform component where ultimately those results are put into this collaborative environment where you can make the final edits, go from that first draft to the final draft, and make sure everything's perfect.
Wow. So it really helps streamline the processes for law firms, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing. How do you see, because, the last few years has been crazy for AI and law and the transformation of the legal industry. How do you see the next 5 years, for example, going with it? Like, how do you think AI is going to transform the sector?
I guess particularly in the patent space, I think costs will drop a lot, and that will allow volume to dramatically increase. I think this goes from everything for patent applications. More people will start filing patent applications, building their patent portfolio, but then also on the litigation side. As I mentioned at the start, it's difficult to know right now where and how you can monetize your patent portfolio. And then in the disputes, they're very expensive. So if that cost and barrier to entry drops, I think people will start being a lot more active. And my belief is it will improve top line revenue for both firms and the companies who are monetizing their portfolio.
Interesting. That's an interesting perspective. Do you see a barrier of when you're speaking to prospective law firms or prospective clients? Do you find that you have to explain the value of what you offer more than you think you should, for example?
I think at first, definitely, but over the past even like 3 to 6 months, I think the legal industry has become a lot more receptive to AI solutions, and kind of the tone is starting to change. People are understanding, where things are at now, where they're going, and the conversations are becoming a lot easier. It's a very palpable change.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Caleb. I really appreciate it. Do you have any final things that you want to say about And AI or?
I guess if you're a patent team interested in our solution, feel free to reach out.
I'm talking with Merlin Bates, Content Director at Legal Tech Talk, London.
So we're here at Legal Tech Talk with Merlin, who is Content Director. Merlin, I've actually been, you don't know this, but wanting to speak to you for like 2 days now because I want to get the inside scoop on how it's going.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, there's a few bits which are a bit touch and go, and obviously it's we always say with events it's a bit like a Ferrari, but you look under the hood, you got the engine of a Toyota just gunning it. So behind the scenes sometimes it's a little bit hectic, but yeah, everything going in the right direction. A lot of things to go in those directions. I think what's been amazing to see is just similar to last year, just so much excitement, which we don't create that, but I like to think that we do harness it. And we've got people from all over the world here, who are, they've traveled far and wide to come and just learn and move the industry forward. So yeah, it's super exciting. Yes, a little bit tiring, and my feet do hurt, but yeah, I can't ask for any more. Really, just really excited that everyone's enjoying themselves.
Last year was amazing, but this year is even better. How have you actually done it? Like, how have you upped your game?
Well, I think the really key thing is how do you make sure that it's an experience that people are going to enjoy and learn from? I think if you focus too much on one and forget about the other, you can still create a great experience. But let's say someone who's based in, I don't know, Germany. You got, a general counsel based in Germany, and they have used company budget to justify an expense, or they've used it to fly over and get the accommodation. Maybe they're in this hotel or whatever. If their session doesn't happen for whatever reason, you get a speaker dropout or something like that, they might have used that session to justify their expenses. So we have to make sure that those happen, they take place, that they're going to be valuable, but also we have to kind of keep up in the tempo with entertainment and things like that. It's not just a marketing ploy. Loads of people, when we started out, they said, you won't do this, not at that scale. And it's because lawyers like, canapes and bubbles and black tie. That's what they like. And that's what a lot of the market is. And I'm not knocking that at all. But we sort of, perhaps childishly and belligerently, went, nah, people like a lot of stuff. There's beer and wine and there's great food and coffee, and it's all free. Yeah. And if you're not in a session, there's still things to do. What we want to create is an all-inclusive experience. And this year, what that meant is we still on that first floor, obviously, big, loud, bright lights, hustle, bustle, all of that good stuff. The ground floor, which is what I'm probably most proud of, for everyone at Legal Tech Talk for pulling off, little bit calmer. People feel like they can kind of escape a little bit. A few more activations, a bit of food. It's about making sure that anyone can enjoy it, and being everything to all people at all times is usually a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
But I think you just tap into what people enjoy and what people want to learn, and hopefully the rest follows.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've added every little detail that you've thought about, literally everything. You've got like a rest room, you've got cue cards with Legal Tech Talk on the back, which you didn't have last year, because I remember bringing my own cue cards for my and I was like, oh, this is amazing. You got the cue cards. It's like you've literally thought of everything. It's incredible. Love it.
Well, do you know what? So on the cue cards, it's just another thing. We're a pretty lean team. We were even leaner last year. We did have cue cards. They just, they were in it. They got snapped up, and then no one thought to just put them out again. And I mean, part of it, like, I'm not going to say it's not easy, but there are some simple aspects to it.
Mm-hmm.
Part like the sort of rest and relaxation room, the chill and charge lounge. That's because people just told us they wanted it.
Right.
So if you just listen to people,
right,
and you set aside budget for it, obviously it means that luckily we've got an amazing sales team and marketing team who are able to make sure that we still have the funding and still pay our salaries and everything. But it means that we can do all these things. Like, listening is key. We've had again this year Julian Treasure's keynote on like how listening is the forgotten skill, and then he ran a workshop on basically how to speak so that people will listen. It's fundamental to take that feedback, and it's why I ask of everyone is, if you're a speaker, you're a sponsor, a fundamental part of our relationship, I think, is just honest feedback. Don't tell me it's great and everything's 100% perfect all the time. If it is, fantastic. There's always things that we can make better. And it's then up to us to take that feedback away and go, okay, well, if we can't do exactly that, how do we create that experience, but maybe just, with different building blocks?
Yeah. It's such a good point, actually, listening to people's feedback, because it's so simple, but I think a lot of people don't actually think about that. They just think, okay, what do we want? What do we think people want? But like,
you've actually gone ahead and listened to people and just done what they've literally said they want, which is so.
Yeah. I mean, it was a bit of a glib way that I kind of I did that. Because there's some things that we know we'll never do. We know that we want to make sure that the in-house and the private practice and the vendors are all in there together, the investors, like everyone is in here together. What we want is to create more dialogue. And so part of it, if someone said, so we have had some people say to us, like, you have to split up the in-house and private practice. You cannot have the in-house and private practice. And we're just like, well, actually, we think it's fundamentally important to have people there talking to each other. I always say, I sit on about 50 prep calls a year for this event. And what I always say, you've heard me just go like, oh no, if you could disagree, that would be fantastic. I'd love to see you not say the same thing. And I get it with those corporate comms teams and everything, there's only so much that you can say. But when we can get disagreement, when we can create dialogue, that's awesome. There's one session that I was really, really happy with about mastering business development for law firms. And Richard Macklin, who's been with us since the start, honestly, such a great friend of the event. He obviously used to be very senior at a law firm at Dentons, and then he's founded GC so that they can have, they're obviously good mates. They can have a kind of a bit of a fiery conversation. In the prep call with them, I said, I want at least one and another thing, and then Joanna, who moderated that, did a fantastic job. Sometimes we want to see it get a little bit fiery. It's not about being friends with everyone all the time. And, if we have a little bit of a disagreement, and not just disagreement between tech vendors who are fighting for the same piece of the pie, which I'm not denigrating, it's how we make our money. I think it's super, super important to just get everyone talking in the same room. So part of it is listening, but we do have some principles that we are just going to stick by. You got to be open to things. I don't think we'll ever be truly set in our ways about absolutely everything. I mean, listening and applying the feedback, it's always something that we're going to do.
Yeah, amazing. I think the best thing for me about Legal Tech Talk is the fact that it's not like your average corporate or even legal event. It's different. It's out of the box. It's exciting. And I think you guys have done an absolutely fantastic job. And I do appreciate you doing this podcast with me, because I know you're super busy and your brain is slowly stopping working.
It's not even close to 0% efficient right now. It's at this point, my brain is working against me. Thank you so much. And yeah, it's always a pleasure to chat with you. Loved your session with William Peake. If no one saw it, it was called I Murdered My Dog for Likes, which is a title that we workshopped together. It was about, the do's and don'ts of LinkedIn and, social media engagement and things like that. So it's such a pleasure to work with you, and thanks so much for being along for the ride.
Oh, thank you, Merlin.
If you're a legal tech founder still trying to grow your brand, the reality is this: someone with half your expertise is about to out-position you. And when they do, you don't just lose reach, you lose deals, investors, opportunities, and more. I'm opening exclusive free access to a blueprint I've never shared publicly. If you want to become law firm's go-to legal tech solution, you'll need to become the leading authority. I explain exactly how in my blueprint. Go to the description of this episode to get it sent straight to your inbox now.